All right, well, thank you everybody for tuning in for another one of our Advisor Access videos. I'm here with the fabulous Kaleigh today to talk about one of my favorite places on the planet, Disney World, and traveling to Disney World is especially at this time of year. So before we kind of kick off with that, Kaleigh, tell us just a little bit about yourself and how you got into travel and came to Avenue 2.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Kaleigh Kirkpatrick. I've been in the business for a little bit over 4 years. I came into travel, to being a travel advisor by, actually with Disney. I started going, who doesn't love going to Disney? And I have a daughter who's now 8, and when she was 2, we bought annual passes. We started going all the time. And I realized that there were people that did this for a living. And then once I got into the business, I decided that, I had traveled quite extensively before and to other places besides Disney World, and really worked on my portfolio and my learning and everything. And so I do all sorts of travel, but Disney World has always been one of my specialties because it has a soft place in my heart.
Absolutely. Well, I love it. And we are very excited to hear all about it. So just to focus on specifically Disney World, of course, there are several Disney parks all around the world, which each could have their own advisor access video for being wonderful. But we're going to focus specifically on the Disney World parks today and properties. So you were there really quite recently, just a couple of weeks ago, and I know that we are sort of focusing on Disney World as is seen in your background photo and the lack of crowds that are happening right now. So can you tell us just a little bit about how long you were there for? And obviously you go often, so where did you start on this trip?
Yeah, absolutely. So was there just last week, actually, and
I'm so jealous.
and we were there for 6 nights, and I started off at the brand new Riviera Resort, went over to the Polynesian, visited all 4 parks, most of them twice except for Animal Kingdom. And yeah, it was amazing. It's a completely different world, so to speak, than it has been in the past, and really exciting to be there.
Fantastic. Well, let's dive into the Riviera property first before we kind of go with your experience in the parks. Obviously, Disney World has quite a few different hotels for guests to choose from based on budget, location, different feel, different vibe, different theme. There is truly a hotel for everybody there. But the Riviera is the newest hotel to the Disney World collection. So can you tell us just a little bit about the overall feeling? Which of the parks is it closest to location-wise? Any other details you might be able to share about that hotel?
Yeah, the Riviera Resort opened in 2019 and obviously closed for a few months in 2020. It's very, very new, very fresh. It focuses on Walt and Lillian. Lillian's travels to the French Riviera, so it has this very Mediterranean vibe. And it's closest to Epcot and Hollywood Studios. It's on the Skyliner system, the new gondola system at Walt Disney World. So you can quickly zip over to Epcot or zip over to Hollywood Studios, but your bus access to Magic Kingdom and Animal Kingdom from there. It's gorgeous property, all villas. So, they have regular hotel rooms that are considered studios that have just a little bit more amenities for staying for a longer period of time. But then they also have 1, 2, and 3 bedroom options with full kitchens and living areas. Some great restaurants, Italian. The Topolino Terrace is on the top floor with beautiful views of all the parks except for Animal Kingdom, actually. So really
Fun for fireworks, I would imagine, with
yes.
good views. Yeah.
So,
And so that makes it great for, either larger families traveling together that don't necessarily want to get separate hotel rooms or connecting rooms, but still have that easy access to Epcot and Hollywood Studios, but have a more sort of luxurious feeling. This would, the Riviera Resort would fall into their kind of their top bracket from a price point standpoint, correct?
yes, absolutely.
So it's compete, and the hotels it's competing with that our viewers might be familiar with already would be Polynesian, Contemporary,
Exactly. Grand Floridian, Beach Club, those properties are in the same um, level of service.
Fantastic. And then you also went to the Polynesian as well.
Yeah, I did. So, I mean, it's always so much fun to stay on the monorail and just right there next to Magic Kingdom. I mean, I can't think of a more um, amazing view to be sitting by the pool and be able to see Cinderella Castle while sipping a, margarita and watching the kids play in the pool. So I love the Polynesian. It's just a really, really fun theming. And it has a really wonderful location. If anybody isn't super familiar, it's really close to the Epcot monorail station as well. So basically, you can easily hop over to Magic Kingdom by boat or monorail, and you can take the direct monorail to Epcot from the Polynesian, which it's the only resort that you don't have to take multiple trains to get over to Epcot. So.
Fantastic. And as far as other properties that I'm sure you've probably at least visited all of them, but are there any others that you might recommend for those that might be at a slightly lower price point, knowing that the whole Disney experience can add up very quickly? I speak from experience on that, but if guests were looking for a more moderate property, is there one or two that you'd recommend from the rest of the collection?
So the Grand Destino Tower is probably my favorite moderate resort on property. It's brand new. It's currently being occupied by the NBA players, so we can't book it at the moment. But for anybody that's looking to stay nearby and a great price point, the Waldorf Astoria is actually a virtuoso property with lots of extra amenities and typically comes in at a moderate price range. For a lot of clients. So I love booking clients there that, might want to save a little bit of money and still have a great experience.
And from the Waldorf Astoria, how does one navigate through to and from the parks?
There are, the Waldorf Astoria does have a bus system that goes to and from the parks. I find that many clients that would stay over there might rent a car or if they feel comfortable Ubering back and forth, that is another option. But they do have options that are complimentary if you'd like to take advantage of those.
Perfect. And you mentioned Uber, which is something that I don't think many people realize, is that Ubering around the Disney World Resort and between the parks and between the properties is actually very readily available. It's not cumbersome at all to Uber around, and it's only a few dollars to get between each of the different sites and parks. I certainly was not aware that was an option until the last time I went and was fed up with waiting for a bus and thought, I think I'll just check to see if maybe Uber is here. And sure enough, it was, your Uber will arrive in a minute and a half type of thing. So it was it's certainly a convenient option for guests that are comfortable Ubering around to keep in mind as well. Wonderful. So let's tackle some park experience. So let's start with just which is your favorite park?
Oh gosh. Well, I mean, I have to say Magic Kingdom because it's just so magical. There's so much to do there. And I get cold chills when I see the castle. It's exciting.
And so this time, your most recent trip there, obviously we're looking at a current post-COVID visit. Can you talk a little bit about the sort of increased safety precautions and procedures that the park has implemented, as well as what cast members are sort of doing on a routine basis to buff up their standards?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's just so many different procedures and protocols. I'll just kind of start with, before you arrive on your trip, you are required to now do online check-in for your hotel. And you're also required to make a park reservation. So before, you could just show up at any park that you'd like, but because they're trying to limit capacity, they are requiring park reservations. Then when you get to the parks, there's temperature screening that everybody goes through, as well as, the standard check all your bags and whatnot. But Disney has purchased some new machines that actually allow people to walk right through them and get their bags scanned so that they don't have the security members going through their bags anymore. Then
The
once you're in,
level of security is still there, but the contact
is diminished.
yeah.
Exactly. And so everybody is required to wear a mask inside the parks and anywhere on Disney property unless you are stationary and eating and drinking. So, you can't just like walk around with a bottle of water and not be wearing your mask. You have to be stationary. Um, each of the lines are completely well spaced out, that there's line markers everywhere showing, stand here, stand here, stand here. And they've made plastic barriers between lines that felt a little bit too snug, I guess, is probably the best way to say that. All the way down to when you check in for a dining reservation, you have to check in on a mobile app instead of having a hostess. If you're going to order mobile order your quick service food, even your Dole Whip set, Aloha aisle, you have to order it on your app, and then you go and it tells you when it's ready and you just go pick it up. You don't have any contact with the cast members to order your food. So, I mean, really, I probably could go on all day about different safety procedures.
Well, it's pretty incredible that given, I know being in California and being a Disneyland pass holder, that our park is currently still closed, but we're certainly learning lessons from Disney World and the procedures that they've put into place. And if anybody could do it the right way, it's certainly Disney, as far as making sure that guests feel safe, guests feel that social distancing is being adhered to. And I just I know you mentioned that masks are required as long as you are mobile and not stationary. But did I remember mentioning that your daughter was an absolute champion with the mask wearing. Did you notice that with other children as well, that they were pretty compliant and just sort of happy to be there?
Absolutely. I never saw really anybody complaining about it. Everyone was so happy to just be in the parks and experience the magic and the low crowds. And all the children I saw were wearing them. I mean, you have 2 and above, so children that are younger than my daughter, and they were all, great with it.
It's one of those things that, while it might be inconvenient, if it means we can all get back to having fun and being in the magic, to just, that's part of the routine now. So that's great to hear that other guests and other park attendees are also being very compliant about it. And I'm sure the cast members are out there politely enforcing, if need be, so in their own magical way.
Exactly. And I would mention too, there's also relaxation zones in each park that are designed specifically to allow guests to enter them and socially distance and take their masks off. So if you get a little hot or just, want to take a little bit of a break, there's places to do that safely and easily.
Oh, that's excellent to know. Great to know. One other piece, as far as just kind of procedures and sort of how it's working now, did you have any character interaction? How are they doing that? Are they not doing that?
Yeah, absolutely. So every park has their own way of doing it, and there were plenty of characters out and about. Some of them you're able to meet from a distance, and some of them are kind of in such like a mini parade, so to speak. They do not have times posted for these things because they're trying to make sure that people aren't crowding to wait for the characters. But, in Magic Kingdom, we saw Eeyore and Piglet and Rabbit on a trolley. We saw Tinkerbell float by on her float. We saw all the princesses on in cars and whatnot coming by. I loved seeing Anastasia and Drizella. They were on the castle, being their normal selves, kind of yelling at guests, being sassy. And, they asked me if I wanted to be their maid. And then they said, 100% of our former maids became princesses, trying to get us to, entice. So it was great. And I mean, in Epcot, we met Alice, and we just walked right up to her. It was amazing because generally meeting Alice is like a 30 or 45-minute affair. We saw her, we walked right up. My daughter had a conversation, from a 6-foot distance. We got some pictures, and it was awesome. So.
And obviously the characters are not masked. I would assume the face characters are not.
Exactly. Yeah. Not
So
masked.
they're distanced from guests. But I assume that the cast members, are they wearing masks?
Yes, all the cast members wear masks, and especially ones that are in like high contact positions, like uh, you know, ride attendees and things like that, also wear a mask and a shield.
Perfect. Great. I feel like we just need to cover all those bases on a firsthand account, because when you read about it, it's one thing, but to get to hear it from someone who has just experienced all of this working and working very successfully is a whole nother kind of validation that now could not be a better time to really go to the Disney parks. So you went to all parks twice except for Animal Kingdom, which I assume is a one visitor.
Yeah.
Are there any food venues that you noticed were closed within the parks, or certain rides that might not be operating? Or was everything 100% go?
Yeah, so many of the character dining venues are still closed. They do have some character meals still operating. It just they're a little bit different, obviously, and they're trying to work out those kinks. Also, some of these signature restaurants, which are what you would consider the more foodie upscale restaurants, are not open at the moment. But almost every one of the casual dining restaurants, most of the quick service locations, all of that are open and operational. They might have limited menus, but I mean, we had no problems getting reservations and finding great places to eat while we were there. As far as rides, all the rides are currently operational. The only things that I noticed that are not going on at the moment, some of the shows that are live character shows are not currently going on. Things that have screens and whatnot, that those shows are currently being shown. And then the full-on parades and night shows are not happening at the moment. So they are doing those mini character parades, like I said, but the full like 3 o'clock big parade is not currently happening.
Okay. All right. So as far as an impact to your visit, minimal. Food service, there was plenty of options for food and dining at each of the parks. You still were able to have your character interactions, whether it was a drive-by in a car or vehicle versus a full parade. And as far as evening performances, are they doing fireworks shows? Are they doing the water shows, the type of things that don't have close contact still?
At the moment, no. But we never know. Those things could come back, at any time, hopefully. But honestly, the low crowds in the parks every day just made for such a magical experience. I can't stress enough like how amazing it is if you've been before or you've never been before to know that rides that I normally would have to wait 2+ hours for, I had an 8-minute wait. I mean,
That's
just
incredible.
incredible. We got to ride everything we wanted to multiple times over. And because they're not doing a lot of the night shows, the park hours are a little bit shortened, which is, at first, you might think that that's kind of a little bit of a drag, but I found it to be really nice and refreshing because we were able to, relax sometimes in the evening, go to the pool, play card games in our room, those kind of things. So
You feel compelled to be there for 14 hours to make the most of it.
exactly.
I wonder what that's like. I can't say I've had that experience. That sounds delightful and very civilized, I have to say.
It was, I mean, I go at least probably 2 or 3 times a year, and I have never had a more relaxing time that I was just able to kind of get up when I wanted to, waltz into the park, when I felt like it was the right timing, and, in the evenings, go to the pool, or in the mornings, go to the pool, whatever. It was just, what do you want to do right now? We don't have like this set agenda all day, which was wonderful.
Refreshing, a refreshingly new Disney experience, one might say. As far as the rides go, are they doing sort of fast pass timed entrances, or is it you walk up and walk on type of thing?
Yeah, exactly. So no fast pass right now, walk up, walk on. But I never waited more than 30 minutes for any attraction in the whole park, any parks. And I would say that most rides I just almost walked right on. So amazing.
I might have to go look at Southwest flights to Orlando as soon as. as soon as we wrap up today. But for guests that perhaps this might be their first visit, or maybe they haven't been in quite some time, how many, in order to get a good experience with each park, how many nights would you suggest for those guests?
Generally I suggest 5 nights and 5 park days, or 6 nights and 5 park days, just depending on, your level of exhaustion. Exhaustion is probably the best way, to go with it, or energy maybe is the
Stamina.
better word. Stamina, the better word. It usually takes 5 park days to do Disney. Now, right now, you still need 5 park days because they are not allowing park hopping. So you couldn't do, say, Epcot and Animal Kingdom in the same day. But you won't have to spend as much time in each park to really get a good sense of it. So yeah, usually I say 5 to 6 nights is a great number.
Ideal window of
Mhm.
time. And I know we're focusing on Disney and the Disney parks specifically today, but for those guests that might have an interest in also visiting Universal Studios, which is very nearby, would you suggest at that point to extend their stay maybe 7 nights in order to visit Universal?
Absolutely. I usually think Universal you could do in 1 to 2 nights, but I definitely recommend switching hotels when you want to go over to Universal, because like Disney, Universal has some wonderful perks for staying on property, and even one of the hotels, Lowe's Portofino Bay, is part of the Virtuoso network. So again,
You
great
can get
perks.
virtuoso properties on both sides. Fantastic. Are there, I know we're just kind of in a comment, what you could combine Disney with. Is there any other non-Disney things that you would suggest that guests visit, or if they did have a little bit longer, or maybe, had a spring break type of a, weekend to weekend type of thing that you would encourage or recommend in the area?
Yeah, there's so many different things that you could combine Disney with, like we just said, Universal, there's SeaWorld if you're interested in, that experience. Discovery Cove is another really amazing park, a little bit more relaxing, more animal interactions nearby. The Kennedy Space Center is not too far of a drive in Cape Canaveral. Or if you're, interested in doing a little bit longer of a drive, there are plenty of amazing beach properties that you could incorporate with the, post Disney.
Make a post-Disney Florida adventure. Wonderful. Well, I would like to just quickly ask you, and this is, you can certainly have an answer for each park, because I think I would have an answer for each park, but what would be your top dining recommendation for each park? And even if it's currently closed, but still one that's sort of the unmissable dining experience, or even if it's a quick treat, because I know Dole Whips are up there for me. But what would your top recommendation be on a food front?
Oh gosh, that is hard, and I'll just go with one for each, each park. But my overall number one dining experience at Walt Disney World in the parks is Tippon's in Animal Kingdom. It's just an incredible restaurant. The food is delicious, and it's very much of a chill experience. So a really nice kind of oasis of calm away from, the hustle and bustle of the parks. I also love to grab a Dole Whip with dark rum added in an Animal Kingdom, which at Tamu Refreshments, that's great. In Magic Kingdom, I love Be Our Guest. I think it's a great dining experience for both adults and children. Everybody loves it. In Epcot, I love San Angelo Inn in Mexico is a wonderful option, and Coral Reef is great. And Hollywood Studios, I have to say Hollywood Brown Derby is delicious. It's a great option as well.
See, I knew it was going to be a tough question, but I knew you have an answer for each park. So I think Tippins is one of my favorites that I've enjoyed over the years, for exactly that reason. It's you walk through the doors and it's so calm and so relaxing and very mellow, and it's just a really lovely end of the day before taking off experience to just have a breather, but still have that wonderful service that we all expect from the Disney parks. And also, and again, you could have an answer for each park, because I also would have an answer for each park. Favorite attraction?
Okay, so probably Seven Dwarfs Mine Train in Magic Kingdom, or I love Peter Pan's Flight too. It's just so nostalgic. It gives me cold chills when I ride that ride. Animal Kingdom Flight of Passage is incredible. And that's the one that I said that, generally boasts a 2 hour plus wait, and I walked on in 8 minutes.
That's
Um,
amazing.
it was,
Amazing. I think I waited 3.5 when it opened, and it was worth it. I'm glad I did it, but it was a very long wait. We made lots of friends in the line. So 8 minutes I can't even imagine.
I, I don't think I've ever, generally I've waited longer than that in the fast pass line to ride the attraction, but yeah, Hollywood Studios Rock and Roller Coaster is great, and I love Soarin' in Epcot. So
Fantastic. I love it. I love it. I am such a Disney nut myself. I was a cast member at Disneyland, and when they first came out with that annual pass that was both parks, both Disneyland and Disney World, way back when, had that. It was amazing, and I definitely got my deep dive into Disney World at that point. So I know you've planned wonderful Disney adventures for so many of your clients. And I just want to give your Instagram a quick shout out as well. And remind us, Elle, of your handle, because I don't want to get it wrong.
it's Shameless Tourist, at Shameless Tourist is my handle on Instagram and Facebook, but I'm much more active on Instagram. So.
Yeah, and for those of you watching, I would strongly encourage you to have a look, because Kaleigh's pictures are incredible. I mean, you think that they are stock photos that Disney took with how few people are in them, and it just gives me park envy every time I look at them. So I enjoy living vicariously through your adventures on your Instagram. But fantastic. Well, did I miss anything? Is there anything else we should talk about the awesomeness of Disney World?
I don't think so. I think that I just can't wait till Disneyland opens too, and we can go together.
Yes, let's do it. I'm ready. I am so ready. We were so looking forward to the 17th of July to celebrate the 65th anniversary, and it didn't happen. So fingers crossed it's sooner rather than later. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
But awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today. This has been so much fun. I hope that our viewers have learned one or two new things about Disney World. And if this sounds great, please don't hesitate to reach out to Kaleigh. I know she'd love to plan an adventure for you and your family or your friends as well, because Disney World is not just for family, but also great for friends. We will be doing another Advisor Access video shortly. So if you would like to be notified of future video posts, please subscribe below, and you'll be the first to get a notification when we get our next posted video. So thanks again. This has been fun, and we'll talk again soon.
Thank you.
Awesome. Have a great day.